goes so fast when you're having fun, right? We're now going to move into the last panel discussion, and this is, I love this word, legacy. Legacy, legacy, legacy. Everything should be about legacy. If we're not building for legacy, then we might as well forget talking about sustainability as well, because they go hand in hand. Legacy in motion. Family capital powering Africa's hospitality boom. The moderator for this one is David Harper, Director, Hotel Partners Africa, and David will then introduce the panelists very briefly as he comes on stage. Over to you. I just need to get your mic going.
From Hotel Partners Africa.
There we go.
And I've sort of worked in Africa forever. I've worked in 53 of the 54 countries. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just invite my panelists to come up, and then I'm going to get them to say a couple of words about themselves, if that's okay. So if you guys could come and join us, that would be lovely. Just grab a seat as you're comfy. Fabulous. So yes, legacy in motion, family capital.
Can I just make a quick announcement? I
Please.
have to make this announcement right now. My apologies. I just recalled. I know some of you are waiting here for the lucky draw and the raffle that they've spoken about. That's going to happen here at 4:00. It's actually going to happen tomorrow at 10. Sorry, you see, I knew the people that are here, and I just recalled that.
I thought you had come for us.
And so if you haven't added your business card in there, please feel free to give it to me, and I'll add it into the lucky draw. I promise I will do that, and then we'll do the lucky draw tomorrow at 10:00.
Here you go.
To you. Oh, there we
Make
go.
me lucky.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll walk around. Thank you.
Fabulous. Yes, so we're legacy in motion, family capital powering Africa's hospitality boom. I'm actually really excited about this session because we never talk about family money, and I think this is something really good. But as I said, I'm going to ask each of my panelists to introduce themselves. And so, Nyawira, I'm going to ask you to start. Could you just tell me a little bit about who you are, where you work, that sort of stuff?
Super. Hi, my name is Nyawira Kariuki. I'm Director of Corporate Services at JCG, a conglomerate in 4 business sectors across East, Central, and Southern Africa. A bit about me, I'm passionate about Africa, closet discoverer, and really builder of businesses.
Fabulous. Mita?
Hi, I'm Mita Vohra. I'm from Sarova Hotels in Kenya, and I'm the Sales and Marketing Director there.
And Haddis?
Hi, I'm Haddis Tilahun. I founded United Africa Group quite some time ago, and we are vertically integrated from building, owning, and running hotels.
Fabulous. Right, what I'm planning
in
to do is
Namibia and in Ethiopia, for that matter.
I'm just going to ask a few questions, and then I will open it up to the floor at the end of time, just so if anyone's got any burning questions, we can get to it. But I thought we'd start with, why do you guys invest in hotels? Should we start with you, Haddis?
Well, this is a very interesting question. To be honest with you, if I knew how hard it was, I wouldn't even put my money. I'll be honest with you. It was some time back, I was asked to participate in a group of people, and they asked me, just take 20%, and then it's 10 million. I said, it's quite a lot. So then I said, okay. I get excited, I participated, and little I know, 3 down the line, everybody have vaporized, and then I left. Was 100 rooms hotel, was investments, have no idea how to run it, I don't know. But to cut the story short, thereafter, we have built quite large portfolio, and I love it. So it's a good business. Of course, there's a risk into it, and we have created, in my opinion, kind of a generational investment, and I hope this will continue. It's an interesting journey.
Mita, why did your family get into hotels? Why did you create Sarova?
Well, I actually, our brand is 51 years old, so
Yeah.
I was actually born in the year that Sarova got.
Sorry, I'm not blaming you for that, sorry.
But yeah, I mean, I think that our family had been in real estate. My dad was also a lawyer, and you know, from that emerged this sort of he was a lawyer and he was very progressive, and he passed we had bought a hotel there called the Ambassador Hotel. And then shortly after that, my dad was walking from his kind of legal career and passed the Stanley Hotel. And at that time, the Stanley you weren't allowed to go in if you were of color. So he was like, I am going to buy this hotel.
Nice.
And Jeremy Block and him were very good friends. And so Jeremy actually sold the hotel to him for 20,000 shillings.
Oh, fabulous.
Yeah, but no, that was just the down payment.
Yeah,
But
right,
still,
okay.
He trusted him and John Kariuki and also my uncle. And yeah, and the brand just grew from there.
Oh, that's lovely.
I had nothing to do with it.
And you're new into the business.
Yes, we are. So as a group, we entered this space now 8 years ago. Started with the acquisition of the Fairmont Mount Kenya Safari Club. For us, it was kind of get our feet in, have a manager, understand the sector. It's where my father first started 42 years ago, really with restaurants in Nairobi. And today we see it as kind of our future, our next sector. I think we look at the growth in travel around the world. We look at where we are as Africa with businesses across East, Central, and Southern Africa. We see a gap, and we see an opportunity for patient capital that's willing to take a risk.
And if the people in the room had opportunities that you're interested in, what sort of thing would you be after? What would appeal to you that would make you put your hand in your pocket and go and buy this hotel?
So today I think we're doing a mix of acquisition and also greenfield. It's looking for the right locations, the right partners, really focusing a lot on Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, and then coming down into Zambia, Zimbabwe.
Smashing. And it's basically big hotels? It's sort of tented camps?
So mixture of lodges, tented camps, beach resorts, with a maximum number of keys of about 100, 150.
Fabulous. Mita, what can I sell you? If I was selling you a hotel, what could I get you interested in?
Well, anything in Tanzania would be great. Yeah, so I mean, we have over 1,200 rooms across the board. And we are looking to expand, but yeah, it's going to be very much, we're interested in moving into sort of other Africa.
Yeah, I mean, your sort of brand, it's a really lovely African brand. It's not, and no disrespect to any international brands, it's not sort of just a little bit cookie cutter. You've got something that's quite useful. I mean, if you guys don't know the hotels, I would definitely suggest you have a look at them. But it's the sort of thing that maybe, I mean, would there be a minimum number of rooms I'd need to sell you? Remember, I'm an agent, right? I'm trying to sell hotels here. So I'm trying to think what you'd be after.
No, I think for us, we're also wanting to expand into a higher end space. And we just, in fact, in our Mora property, we just did an entire club lounge experience and we redid all the rooms, which really look fantastic. And we're seeing, the revenue model just changed completely when we've done that. So I think you will see more from us even in Kenya and hopefully Tanzania too, where you'll be seeing much more sort of layers of product as opposed to, just one sort of style.
Haddis, your sort of portfolio is more international branded that you then run yourself and put it on a franchise. What can I sell you? Can I only sell you in Namibia and Ethiopia, or will you go elsewhere?
As a matter of fact, I'm looking to expand in terms of Southern Africa. And I'm looking at more business hotels, minimum, I think, about 120 and above, those kind of room. Mm-hmm. Smaller hotels, I don't know how to run them. It's too difficult to run, too much work. But it's in terms of hotels, if I have to look at a cluster of them or bigger business hotels, that kind of things, with conferencing facility, multiple eating areas, and all those kind of things. That is my appetite for.
One thing I've always worried about with family money, or wondered about really, I watched the TV program Succession. How do you make sure the family doesn't fall apart? How do you make sure you can keep this family business going forward? I'll start with you, Mita, if that's all right.
Yeah, that's fine, because it is actually, it's actually that time when you have to kind of make those decisions, with everybody, because we're actually 4 families in the business. And I think that it just has to be a big conversation, and people have to see how they get on the same page. And of course, the alternative is, going the brand route, but I'm not sure we're there yet. In fact, I'm pretty sure we're not. So it's going to be a process, and when you have a lot of youth in the same generation coming up, there also then has to be who's the rainmaker here. And I think we've always had a rainmaker in Sarova, and I think that will be a very important part of how things unfold.
Nyawira, same question?
I think for us, and how we've looked at it, it really does come to professionalizing, structuring, planning for the future. Really, yes, we're a family business, but how do we, and I think that's a transition, how do we institutionalize this family business? How do we avoid succession?
Yeah.
Great show, but I think it was, I think
But
for
it's
family,
not what you want.
for family business, it's a great opportunity to have to stop and think about how you're structuring yourself. What are you doing? How are you ensuring that the legacy survives? And I think businesses like Sarova are an example of those at 51 years. That speaks to it, and I think we need to see more of that across the continent, multi-generational, but really professionalizing and putting in place the right structures.
Yeah, I was about to say, you've got to try and encourage the younger generation to want to come in and play the game. Haddis, is there anything that you've done that's made it easier to keep the family in the same business, or are your kids running off to go and do, law and other things and avoid?
Look, company is about 32 years old when I founded, but the group chairperson is my wife. Me and my wife, we do run the company. We're the owners, the board, and we have independent board members. But we created a company, but the ultimate shareholding is a trust. It's a family trust, and a family trust owns the entire portfolio, so that any disturbance cannot occur because it runs in business models. So you have a group CEO, group this and group that. At the end of the day, in the absence of that, the founding process is not there. Company must continue, and it must run as a business. So the idea is they will be perpetuate the company for longer time to come. It runs by board. So now the trustees, which are myself and my kids, will have dividends and, of course, retained income. So that will continue. They will have income. They will have money. But at the end of the day, whether that disturbance occur, it cannot, because it's a company. So the board is going to make those decisions. So are they going to join? Yes. They have finished school. They have been trained properly. So my daughter did have joined the company. So the 2 boys are right now finding themselves. Eventually they will. So, but the point is, yes, it's a company structure, a trust-based setup. I think it will continue. That's my hope.
What are the biggest challenges you find based on the structure? I'll keep going with you for a minute. So are there any particular operational challenges that are unique to family money that's staying in these things, or is it pretty much just the same challenges everyone faces?
The embedded value is that we sacrifice a lot to build a company. And sometimes you don't factor our sacrifice and sweat, which happen to be quantum. If you go back and calculate in terms of quantum, your taxable benefits, your tax deduction, a whole lot of extra time and effort you have put because you sacrifice, is not being compensated. The only thing is what you see is that you want to grow that company, make it bigger and stronger and continue. But when you sit back and ask, I could have structured these things more tax efficient and effectively, I can create additional revenue this way. So those are sometimes we neglect because We love the business. We sacrifice a lot. And those are the areas which I start to look at. How can I make it effective, efficient, and works as an instrument for us to continue to increase its profitability and wealth creation. Basically, that's the little fine challenge we have to understand how to leverage it.
Anything you can add to that, Mita, that you think is different challenges, different problems that you've got to face?
Well, I mean, I think that, first of all, the hotel industry and anyone who's actually in the hotel industry, it's a very sort of like high privilege, space. And I think that it's very important to involve all the family and for people to be on the same page, but it's also very important to actually be able to balance out, who is actually good at what, and can you actually justify how you're doing this, and what are the governance issues that need to be sorted out, and what are all the layers, beneath that, so that, I think I came into the business 3 years ago, and it was by default. It was because actually COVID had happened, and they were like, "Hello, we need some help." And it turns out that I have discovered for myself that this is actually something that I love doing, and I'm probably going to keep doing, whether it's in Sarova or somewhere else. But I feel like you can also be very whimsical. We've had many family. We've had family residents in London and here, and actually these conversations are so important where you're actually aligning and actually understanding, well, why do you want to be in this place, in this seat? What are you bringing to the table with that? So I see it more like that, and obviously there's a huge amount of governance that can be put into this, in terms of how do you then expand value, and so that's what it is for me.
Yeah. Have you got any challenges you can give me?
I think one is, taking and learning from the different generations. I think we're I'm second generation. I think bringing in the ideas from both sides and actually finding a place on the table for all of it. It's the future-proofing of the business. So some of our debates can be heated, where I think I'm talking about where we're going, and the generation before is like, "I built this, I know." So I think that's a really engaging. It's a challenge, but it's also a blessing, because I think that ability also allows us. I'm second, there is third already, so then how do we make sure that we're ready for when the 15-year-old is going to be the hotel guest, and hearing their voice as well. But yeah.
I'd always be worried about picking which of my children was the favourite that took over, and I'm thinking the rest of my family's going to hate me. We've got 3 minutes left, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up to questions here, but then I've got a question that I'd like to finish with all of you for. So do we have any questions from the floor that I can take? Yes, please.
I just, so Haley, just wanted a quick question. How do you avoid falling into an easy trap of maybe signing a brand or a franchise? Right? Oh, okay, he's smiling already. Everyone's smiling. It's just, it's because you have such fantastic legacies, and that independent streak is very hard to maintain in a world that's so digital today. So I just want to understand. If it's food for thought, it's food for thought, but I just want to understand.
Sure.
Thanks.
In my opinion, I am open-minded when it comes to brand, but I need to make sure that they work for me. So in other words, we have about 6 of our properties are in a franchise brand, 1 or 2 of global brands. And question is that, how come you have 2 different global brands? I'm going to add 3 or 4. I don't really care. As far as I'm concerned, my property need to perform, and I need that input. They have a lot of great things they bring in, but in what cost and how? So at the end of the day, if they're going to create that minimum expectation of return for my investment, I should be able. So effectively, I select a manager, we manage them, we asset management, we manage the property, we fire and hire. So brand is a vehicle for me, not hindrance. So it depends. I'm not trying to over-express it, but as far as I'm concerned, they need to work for me. End story.
So how do you save your brand, and how do you make sure that you stay true to your brand rather than, succumb to the easy having an international brand there?
I mean, actually, this coming to this convention has actually really made me think a lot and go through a lot of process. And actually, you are definitely aware of that. So, gosh, I am very attached to the brand. Whoever is in our family is extremely attached to the brand. And we are actually pretty good at what we do. And we have a huge sustainability, programs across the board. We have organic gardens in all our properties. We have, our beach resorts, like beach cleanups. I mean, we are so involved with, we've just grown up in this way where it was like family and friendship and education and doing so much inside of our remit of our teams and also outside. So in my heart, there's no brand.
Yeah.
We're the brand.
I'm just going to give you 2 minutes because we're running out of time. But what's your take on brands? Where would you go?
I think for us, it's both ways. I think we have a brand under our core. We also have properties that are independent. So I think it really is, we look at it, what's best for the property, what's best for the asset, and how can we maximize and sweat it and get in what we need. So a bit like Haddis has said, the brand works for us. That's what we're after. It's who can deliver the best for us.
It's nice having the confidence to actually pick what you want to do and be able to be in that position rather than rely on someone else to come in. I mean, you guys all run your own places as well. Your Fairmont, do they manage it for you? Or
They
do you
manage it for us.
Yeah, fabulous. I'm told we're allowed one more question? No?
So I want you to know in history that there's always 0.001% where we're ahead of time in a conference. And we're very ahead of time. So you can even take
fabulous.
as many questions as you like. We're a whole 14 minutes ahead of schedule. Don't worry about that.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, bring it on.
So please feel free to engage them or ask any more questions or any clarification.
Fabulous.
We do have time.
Anyone else with a question?
And like the one time.
Okay, well, in that case, I've got a question for you guys that I would really like to know. What's the biggest lesson you've learned from your time in hotels? I'm going to start with you, because that way you get more time.
I think biggest lesson has actually been in the acquisition journey. I think what you think you're buying, what you are buying, and then having the patience and I think the world to actually put together a structure to turn it around. I think that's probably been our biggest lesson. It also means that from that lesson, it's given us a bit more appetite for more risk because we've seen what we have been able to do. But yeah, that would be it.
I once actually bought a hotel for someone, and then we discovered a couple of days later a brand new ballroom that had been sealed off. I was there, and we'd bought it, we'd paid a price, and then all of a sudden we had a much better facility, which was fantastic.
Oh, wow.
Mita, what's your biggest lesson that you've learned?
Gosh, I think that for me, like, you can come into an industry initially and think you know everything. And for me, actually, the journey when I actually came into the system, it actually took me, a process to understand how differently it works from any other business that I've ever had.
Yep.
And the lesson was actually also not to be arrogant. Because that can happen so easily. Like, I stepped into that space. I'd always worked for myself before that. And then suddenly I was in this ego space. And for me, that was actually a fantastic thing to transform in.
Well, I'm really pleased you've moved to the industry because I think this is the best industry in the world. We are definitely the luckiest people working in hotels. Haddis, your biggest lesson?
I think, in my opinion, I thought hotel business is a glamour, really nice and all those things. But real thing for me is the numbers. You need to understand the numbers. The numbers add up that business to make sense for you. I have learned the hard way because your cost, your profitability, and to manage an effective business is critical for me to understand it. I learned it very late because, like I said, I came in as, I'm trained as an engineer, so I have no expectation of this little details, how numbers make a difference in terms of your profitability and your growth. So the part I learned is that all hotel managers are not the best guys. They are also wonderful guys. They know that customers, they take care of their customers, and please don't get me wrong, I'm not against what I'm trying to say. As much as they love their customers, they need to understand a little bit of their numbers. They are happy to please the walking customers and really take care of them, which I love. That's what we do. But at the end of the day, what adds up is your numbers. So for me, what I learned and what I'm still learning is how to create and sustain and maintain profitability. Where is the cost center to identify the cost center? And how can we train our team members to be effectively knowledgeable about the work, what they do, just not traditional things. So those are the things we do. So we end up investing in hotel school, and then we train everyone who comes to our business. We're about 1,000 employees, so we have to take them through. No one will go into the business without at least having 3 months training, and that helps us a lot. So that's basically some of those things I learned through time. I'm still improving it, but in conclusion, it's a great business to be in.
It is, and we'll all be learning forever. We've got another question.
Not really the mic. Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Really, probably a very similar question, but what's your biggest challenge doing business in Africa? Something that you may not have been able to overcome that's really challenging for you?
Who wants to take that first?
Sure, I'll take it. So the biggest challenge doing in business in Africa is two things. One is to educate the government to understand how delicate hospitality business is. I'll be honest with you, they have no clue, they have no idea. They keep on chasing a little tax and all other little things. But the basic principle is that can you create the infrastructure that we can all prosper? In other words, build the roads, bring us the internet, so bring us the electricity, don't charge us too much money. Energy is the most expensive operation. Governments want to make money out of energy. But the fact is that we would be creating the prosperity of employments, and then I believe it's a government issue. That's the first part, to educate them. Second part is that legislation again. There is a wrong notion of that hotel owners are capitalists, they're all going to exploit our people mentality. But the fact is, the relationship between the team members, the hotel owners, is so beautifully built in, and then we need to depend to each other. If we cannot depend to each other, then if that wrong notion created, we completely destroy the industry. So the labor law, which is created, is too, I'm so sorry, too liberal or socialistic. I don't know, for some reason. I'm so sorry, I don't really mean that for you to take wrong understanding of it, but the labor law must be embracive for us to create a continual prosperity of our team members as well as the industry. So those are the challenge for me from legislative perspective and understanding of the industry.
I think just to add on to what Haddis has said, so I think uncertainty about regulation, I think it's the most frustrating place to be. Today you think, okay, fine, we're going to build this, we have all of the approvals, and then something changes. You've invested, you've done your designs, you've signed up with a brand. I think that really, that stability is that's one of the risks you take. I think today we see it, the brain drain, I think more so in hospitality, and I'll speak about East Africa, where you bring talents, you've trained them, and next month they tell you, I'm going to work on a cruise ship, or 3 months down the line. And I think that's where what Haddis just said is a conversation we're having of how do we actually then start to build our own capacity building. I think we see that today. When I grew up in Kenya, we had utalii. It really was where talent came from across the continent. I still meet people in Dubai today who went through utalii. We don't have that. And I think how do we as owners, investors, go put back into that and have to create our own talent pools, have to kind of keep churning that so that we're not always in this start-stop position, especially if you're not in a major city. Talent becomes your biggest challenge, and actually maintaining, developing, and keeping that and having that pipeline fill in.
So we have actually had a less sort of bumpy ride on that note, and I think it's just because of the amount of years we've been in business. And we've had very lovely partnership in the brand itself, and also very good relationships, over time. And we've also been one of the institutions that have trained probably everybody who has been through Kenya has had some Sarova training or has worked for Sarova at some point. So, we've had a head start, and we've been very, very fortunate. And even today, you'll see the brands will come, they'll take half our good people, and we just don't even bat an eyelid because we're like, okay.
This is part of the game.
Yes, it becomes, yeah.
Fabulous. Well, I'm not going to say what I think the biggest challenges are. I'm just going to say that it's such a fantastic continent. There are so many opportunities, so many really, really good places that can be built, and such a shortage of good quality supply that the opportunities are huge. I mean, I think we did a study once. We showed that in the US there was something like 20,000 branded bedrooms per million people in the population. Yeah, I think in Africa that's 122 per million. It's like so much smaller. In some countries like Ethiopia, it's down to 86. There is a real opportunity. This continent is for the future. It's hard. There are difficulties to get it done, but God, it's worth it. It really is.
I agree.
Can I just say thank you so much to my panel? I've really enjoyed today. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.